Welcome. My name is Draft Raw, and today I'm doing a 32 for 32 series. And not just today. This is 32 NFL team drafts for 32 straight days. I apologize for the quality of video that's probably going to be displayed on my laptop. For whatever reason, the webcam is not working, and obviously I'm not in studio due to obviously COVID, coronavirus. Also being as though I gotta make time. I gotta get the time into the schedule to get to the studio to be able to make great quality videos. So it is what it is. But anyway, the 32 for 32 series is already, like I said, 32 team drafts for 32 straight days. I've already done the AFC North and the NFC North, and I am now in the NFC East. Yesterday, I did the Dallas Cowboys. Today, I am doing the Philadelphia Eagles, the NFC East champions, Philadelphia Eagles. So without further ado, let's just get straight into it. With the very first pick, they decided to choose Jalen Reagor, wide receiver from TCU. Jalen Reagor is one of the best receivers in this draft class. I had him as my number two, number three guy. It was kind of flip-floppy just because there were, the abundance of receivers in this draft. You had it's a wide range of variety of type of guys. And there's certain guys that I do like that I will put ahead of for other players. But to just kind of keep it to where it was more consensus just a little bit, even though I might just have my own opinion. I had to look deeper into other guys and certain stuff, and just to figure out, okay, who was the best one. I mean, obviously for me, Jerry Jeudy was number one, but then after that, it was like T. Higgins and CeeDee Lamb and Jalen Reagor. Those guys were fighting for the 2 through 4 spot. Legitimately, though, I did feel as though he was probably the second best receiver in this draft class. I think he's a solid route runner. I think he has pretty solid hands. I think, there's the situation where people talk about his drops. I don't know how the drops are going to be such a big concern for him. Some guys drop a bunch of passes in college and get to the NFL and actually play great. And then some guys, their drops in college continue in the NFL, but because they're so much of a playmaker, it doesn't matter. Julio Jones being a pretty good example of that type of player. But what I like about Jalen Reagor is one of the biggest things is that he is a run blocker at receiver. He actually blocks in the running game. Another big thing that really holds dear to me when I watch Jalen Reagor is his ability to go up and get the football. He's not the biggest dude in the world, and he goes up there. I mean, he wants to catch that ball. He wants to bring that ball in and make plays. He also has ability in the return game, in special teams return game, whether it's punt and kick return. I mean, this guy is a natural playmaker that I think that could be really, really good for the Philadelphia Eagles. The only thing I will say is, what they picked in the rest of this draft and what they have, they almost pigeonholed themselves with a bunch of guys that are just speed guys. And maybe they're just trying to copy Kansas City formula, the way they do things, because Patrick Mahomes makes that show run. And it's almost the same system because Doug Peterson was under Andy Reid. So there's going to be a lot of similarities between the two systems. But I will say this. When teams tend to copy other teams, it tend to not work. So what I would say is, if I'm the Philadelphia Eagles, the head coach, I am not going to directly copy a lot from the Kansas City offense. What I'm going to do personally is that I'm going to just play what I know works for what I've called in the past, because he is a Super Bowl head coach. So if I was him, Doug Peterson, just do what you're doing, but don't try to turn this into the Kansas City offense, because it may not work for you. In the second round, they decided to choose quarterback from Oklahoma, Jalen Hertz. I thought Jalen Hertz was like absolute trash. So we're going to move to the next player. I'm going to go back to Jalen Hertz. The reason why I thought that he was absolute trash is it has nothing to do with, he's a running quarterback and, I don't know how good his accuracy is. Decision making. Decision making is going to be the biggest thing when it comes to him. And it's not decision making to a point of, like, he threw a lot of interceptions, so he was just making bad decisions. Decision making is to knowing when to run, knowing when knowing when to settle in the pocket, knowing when to step up in the pocket, knowing when to roll out of the pocket and still throw that ball down the field. It's just decision making when it comes to that stuff. I think that he got away with it in college, but in the NFL, I don't know how much it's going to work. And the people who say he's like Lamar Jackson, the guy is nowhere near Lamar Jackson's speed or quickness. So get that out of your head if you think that that's him. Though that's not him. Lamar has a special talent and ability that even some running backs and receivers don't have. So there's some differences in there. But I will say that it was weird. It was only weird because you was think, well, they got a franchise quarterback, a young red. Why would they pay? But if he can be a good backup for him, I can kind of like it. But I won't expect him to be like a guy that's going to be a great quarterback in this league, period. Maybe, 3 years down the road, y'all can trade him, get some picks for him or whatever. Whatever it is, Carson Wentz doesn't always stay healthy, which is sad, even though I love Carson Wentz. But this is a situation with Jalen Hertz where it's just like, I don't think he's that great of a quarterback, but maybe there was something to it where they could actually get something out of him that could help them later on down the road. So then let me just go to the next pick. Davian Taylor, linebacker in the 3rd round. Davian Taylor, linebacker from, I forgot what school he went to. I don't really care because he was absolute trash. So I'm going to just go, and I'm stopping it right there. He was absolute trash. I'm going to go to the next person. In the 4th round, they decided to choose Clemson safety Kayvon Wallace. Kayvon Wallace was a high-energy player that loves to attack, fast going towards the line of scrimmage, a gambler, and can play nickel. I really like Kayvon's tape. I felt as though he was a guy that, even though he was considered a safety, he reminded me a little bit of Jalen Mills in a way of, I don't think he could be an outside corner, but the simple fact that Jalen was kind of like a safety nickel, situation like a Tyrann Mathieu was when he played for LSU. Kayvon Wallace, from what he played at Clemson, they didn't play a lot of traditional stuff. Like you had Isaiah Simmons and you had him, and they weren't traditional safeties. But in terms of the way they played them, but I think that Kayvon may actually turn out to be a better player overall than Isaiah Simmons. Isaiah Simmons. So, but I just love the way that he attacked the line of scrimmage and the way he can, his gambling ability and that he had, and he showed some instincts sometimes. So I like what I saw from there, and I think that he can be a really, really good player, and maybe can help that pass defense for the Philadelphia Eagles. Then with the very next pick in the 4th round, they chose probably one of the better offensive line prospects in this draft, and that was Jack Driscoll from Auburn. He played right tackle. He was smart. He was smooth. He used his hands well, and he was a good technician. I think that if this is a situation where they're going to play him at the right tackle, you got yourself a starter. Like, I think that he's a starter day one, and I think y'all got great value when y'all got him. He's not a left tackle prospect, and he's not a guard prospect. I think that he's only a right tackle prospect, but can be a really, really good right tackle prospect. But I know y'all have Lane Johnson, so maybe it's a situation where y'all do switch from the guard. I forgot about Lane Johnson for a second, but it's one of those things where y'all did get a good offensive lineman that can, that I think, I mean, maybe he could play guard, but to me, that's not his best position. With the very next pick in the 5th round, they chose a receiver, John Hightower from Boise State. He's a tall receiver with great speed, and he's actually a pretty good route runner. And he's your natural height, weight, speed type prospect. He doesn't have like the greatest weight. He's more of the tall guy with a lot of speed. I really like this tape in terms of, at first I didn't know what to think about it, and I thought that maybe I would hate his tape a little bit, but he turned out to be a better player than what I thought he would be. And, getting him in the 5th round is actually a pretty good situation for the Philadelphia Eagles. If watching this tape, I would have said he was a 5th. I'm sorry, I keep yawning. I'm sorry. But watching this tape, I would have said he would have been a 5th round pick. I would have said that he would have been a guy that can bring some height and speed for the team that they kind of lack in terms of playmakers. Without the Alshon Jeffrey and the Deshaun Jackson, and that's why y'all picked up Jalen Reagor. But picking him was a good choice. Also, is to get more speed, but to get more a guy that can be a big time playmaker for y'all. Then with the very next pick, they chose Sean Bradley from Temple, linebacker. He's an athletic linebacker. I think he lacks instincts, but he's solid in coverage. I think that he's a pretty average player. I think that he could make eventually in his career make a bigger difference because he has those athleticism. He just needs to get more instinctual, and then I think that he can be a pretty good linebacker within the NFL. Then with the next pick, they chose Quez Watkins, wide receiver from why I'm forgetting this. Is Missouri Southern Miss, wide receiver from Southern Miss. Deep threat specialist, that's all he was. Sometimes he had the occasional dropsies. His drops was actually worse than what you would see with Jalen Reagor's. In terms of just, he's like completely wide open. The only thing he has to do is catch the ball and run up the field. And Jalen Reagor did that a couple of times too. But with him, it's like you have to be that playmaker. Like you gotta be that guy, and he just didn't step up to be that guy. And Jalen is a better route runner, a better catcher of the football, a better blocker. So there's a lot more to Jalen than it would be Quez. But that's why Quez was a 6th-round pick anyway. Then with the very next pick, another pick in the 6th round, they chose the other Auburn offensive tackle, and that was Prince Tega Wanagu. Not as athletic as the other top tackles. He misses some blocks in the run. He's a solid pass blocker. He's a good run blocker, though, when he does get his hands on a person. There's situations where he kind of launches sometimes, and he kind of misses the block, especially when he has to get to the next level. And he ends up not being able to make the block. But then, at the same time, when he does make the block, he destroys guys. So he has ability to where coachable wise, he could be a really, really good player within the NFL. This is not a situation where this guy is he just can't do it. Like he can play in this league. He just needs to get more consistent at his craft. He's not as good as a technician as his counterpart Driscoll, but he's still a good, solid offensive tackle. Last but not least, in the 7th round, they chose Casey Toohill from Stanford, edge guy and linebacker. I did not like Toohill at all. No power to shed, no quickness. Played DN, but definitely should switch to linebacker. He's a special teamer, a hard worker, but that's really, really it. Just looking at my notes here. Like I said, there's not a lot to really that I can say like about him. But, he's a hard worker, and maybe he can be a special teams guy within the NFL. So, it is what it is. But anyway, like I said, I'm sorry, not the best quality video. Webcam not working, so, it is what it is. And then, like I said, the studio sessions, I got to create the time for it. So, that is what it is. But I appreciate anybody that watched this video. All the people that have been following this series. This is a huge series for me. 32 straight days. That's huge. Like I said, it's going to be a little late on some of the, it's going to be over a month since the draft happens towards the end of this series. But it is what it is. I just wanted to do a different type of series, a special that people can get interested in and just be like, wow, this is actually pretty cool that he's literally going over every single draft pick and not just the picks that he liked. So, it is what it is. But anyway, I appreciate anybody that watching. Once again, my name is Draft Raw, and if you want to see any future videos or any past videos, it's going to be in the description box below. Like I said, AFC North, NFC North, and NFC East is going on right now. Once again, like I said, my name is Draft Raw. I thank you guys for watching.